Hey everybody, it's your girl Miss Amy coming at you from quarantine. And last week we talked about the 9 peer pressure refusal strategies, and we also learned how to refuse peer pressure in an assertive way by standing tall, looking the person in the eye, and speaking up, and not whispering and stuff. So today we're going to talk about the effects of alcohol use. First, our quote: "Avoid using cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs as an alternatives to being an interesting person." Harsh, but important message. So there we go. To start off today, we're going to look at 3 different puzzles to start working our brains out a little bit. So if you have your workbooks, turn them to page 11 and we'll get started. If you don't have your workbooks, don't worry. I'm going to put them up on the screen for you. So here we go. The first one. Which of these shapes is bigger? Is it A or B? All right, let's look at number 2. We're looking here at the circle in the center, not the circles on the outside. So of the center circles, which is bigger, A or B? All right, and then for number 3, we're looking at the lines inside the arrow points. So of those lines, which is longer, A or B? What do you guys think? You might be surprised to know that actually they're all exactly the same size. In number 1, the 2 shapes look like they're different sizes because B is offset a little bit to the right. In number 2, the inner circles look like they're different sizes because the circles around them are different sizes. And it creates an illusion that the circle in A is bigger than the circle in B, but actually they're the same size. And then in number 3, the positioning of the arrows, some facing inwards and some facing outwards, makes the lines look like they're different sizes, but they're actually the exact same length. Sometimes things aren't always what they seem. Today, we're going to talk about a drug that you might be pressured to use. Like these puzzles that we did, this drug isn't always what it seems. Even though it's legal for people to use this drug if they're 21 years and over, it could lead to many negative consequences that can interfere with their ability to reach their goals. Of course, the drug I'm talking about is alcohol. There are 3 different types of alcoholic beverages: beer, wine, and liquor. And now that we have our brains working a little bit today, we're going to do a little riddle. So, riddle me this. One evening, 3 friends, all over the age of 21, because that is the legal drinking age in the United States, all decided to go and have a drink at a restaurant. The 3 friends sit down and they all order their drinks. So Herman orders a 12-ounce glass of beer. Hobart orders a 5-ounce glass of wine. And Oscar orders a mixed drink that contains 1.5 ounces of liquor. Here's the question. Which friend ordered the drink with the most alcohol? What do you guys think? It might surprise you guys to know, once again, that this riddle has a surprise answer. They all have the exact same amount of alcohol. They pack the same punch. One 12-ounce glass of beer is the same amount of alcohol as a 5-ounce glass of wine, and the same amount as a mixed drink that has 1.5 ounces of liquor, or perhaps a shot in a different situation. So the amount of alcohol consumed is what's actually dangerous, not what type of drink it is and what other ingredients are in that drink. In the case of a teenager or anyone else who's underage, any amount of alcohol consumed can be damaging to the brain and body. We know that beer, wine, and liquor contain alcohol. We also know that any amount of alcohol can hinder the healthy development of the underage brain. So we're going to look at the section in our workbooks. It's at the bottom of page 11 that has the picture of the brain there, and it's called Alcohol Effects on Brain Functions. Again, if you don't have a workbook, that's fine. Here's a picture of a brain for you. So let's look at how underage drinking can affect different areas of the brain. First is the prefrontal cortex. On the picture on the screen, the prefrontal cortex is the yellow part of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex is in charge of executive functions like judgment and social control. Alcohol use can impair your ability to think clearly, and it can lower your inhibitions. So you might do things that you wouldn't normally do. Next, we have the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is in the green area on the picture on the screen. The hypothalamus controls the heart rate. Alcohol is a depressant drug That means that it slows down the heart rate and breathing. So it affects the hypothalamus in that way. Next, we have the hippocampus. On the screen here for you guys, it's right at the spot where the green meets the blue. The hippocampus controls memory. Alcohol use can cause memory loss and blackouts. It can also affect your ability to learn and remember important information. Next, we have the medulla oblongata, which is the red part on our picture up here. The medulla oblongata controls breathing and body temperature. I mentioned a little earlier that alcohol is a depressant drug and it can slow down your rate of breathing. Binge drinking can shut down the medulla oblongata entirely and can lead to a coma. And then finally, we have the cerebellum, which is that purple part at the bottom there. It's your brain's butt. The cerebellum coordinates movement. Alcohol use can slow down the reflexes and can cause a loss of balance and coordination, which can lead to possible injuries in the future. So let me show you a real brain here. This is a scan of a healthy brain. The colors here are showing that the entire brain is working as it should. There's activity everywhere that they are scanning for. And this is the top surface of the brain. So if you were to cut your skull open and look down, it's the top surface of the brain. And this is the brain activity as someone who does not drink. Next, let me show you another brain. This brain has a lack of symmetry that is caused by alcohol, and it is not functioning as well. If you look at the various holes here, they are not physical holes. If you cut this person's head open and took their brain out, their brain would probably look the same as anyone else's. These holes are caused by a lack of activity. It's areas where their brain is not functioning properly due to excessive alcohol use. We're going to play a little game now to see how much we've learned about alcohol and how much we might still need to learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a series of statements on the screen, and we're going to determine if they are true statements or false statements. So here we go. Number 1. Alcohol use can slow down a person's breathing, causing them to pass out. Is that true or false? That's true. We talked about it just a second ago, how alcohol is a depressant drug and it can slow down your breathing. And so if it slows down enough, you could pass out. Number 2, an underage person's decision to drink alcohol can impact anyone, including family members, friends, and strangers. Is that true or false? That's true, you guys. Sometimes we like to think that our decisions only impact ourselves, but actually if you're making a decision, it does impact other people. Your decision to drink alcohol can impact your family members, friends, and even people you don't know, depending on what you do when you're under the influence of alcohol. Number 3, when people drink alcohol, they have more fun. True or false? This one's false. This is sort of like an assumption that we see. We see it in the media all the time. We maybe hear stories from other people. But alcohol affects a lot of your bodily functions, and it affects the way that your mind works. So really, you can have just as much fun without drinking alcohol. Number 4, alcohol use can affect a person's short-term memory. True or false? This one's true too, guys. We talked about this as well with our brain functions section. Alcohol use can affect your ability to encode short-term memories. Number 5, alcohol use is less harmful to teenage brains than to adult brains. Is that true or false? This one's false. The teenage brain is still developing, whereas the adult brain is already finished developing. And alcohol can affect your ability, your brain's ability to develop fully. So if alcohol is affecting a brain that's not finished versus a brain that is finished, the brain that's not finished is the one that's going to be most affected. Let's look at another one. Alcohol is a psychoactive drug that changes the way the brain works. Is this true or false? It's true. Psychoactive literally just means that it is affecting the way your brain functions normally. And so alcohol does change the way your brain works. Number 7. Yeah, totally. This is number 7, you guys. Alcohol use impairs a person's ability to see clearly, causing blurred vision. Is this true or false? It's true. Alcohol use can impair your vision, causing it to be blurry. Number 8. Most middle school students drink alcohol. True or false? This one's false. Most middle school students do not drink alcohol. In fact, less than 10% have even tried alcohol before. So if less than 10% have even tried it, that means 90% or more haven't. And 90 is way more than 10. Number 9, alcohol gives people energy. Is this true or false? We've talked a little bit about how alcohol is a depressant drug and it slows things down. So this is actually false. It does not give you energy. It in fact takes some of your energy away from you. Alcohol makes a lot of people very sleepy. And number 10, the last one. Underage drinking can affect a person's ability to make good decisions. True or false? This one's true. Alcohol affects all areas of your brain, including the prefrontal cortex, which we talked about a little bit earlier. And that is the judgment center of your brain. And so it can make you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And that includes changing your decision-making process. So we've learned all of this information about the dangers of underage drinking. Why do people do it? Teenagers still drink alcohol, even though maybe they know as much as you do about the negative effects of it. Why is it still happening? There could be lots of reasons. Peer pressure, to be cool, to try and fit in some way with a group. But where do we get these ideas? There might be these reasons that we do it, but where do we get it? Does it just come out of nowhere? No, of course not. We get it from things like TV and movies, from other people who we see who are drinking. Maybe from the music we're listening to, or social media that we're interacting with, like Instagram or TikTok. We're exposed to all sorts of media messages in the television, in the movies, in the books we read, in the music we listen to, in the video games we play, everything that we consume. We get a whole bunch of different messages. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between a message intended to entertain us and a message that's intended to persuade us or to get us to buy their products. The job of an advertiser is to persuade you to purchase their products. And they're trying to get people to buy their things. They want to make money. Your job as the consumer is to receive these messages and decide what to do with that information. Is the product good for you? Is it something that you need? Your ability to filter these messages is called media literacy. So the ability to analyze and evaluate media in a variety of forms, not just movies and TV, but also reading and listening to music, to understand the message that it's trying to send to you. And is the message intended to try and sell you something or just to give you, a good time, just to entertain you? The tactics that are used by advertising are used to sell everything from smoothies to toothpaste and even alcohol. And your ability to break down the messages that you're receiving will make you a wise consumer. The strategies that advertisers use to sell alcohol make it seem really fun, but they also make it seem like everybody is drinking alcohol, which we just learned is not necessarily a true statement. Are we getting the whole picture? Do we know all of the information? Just because something is in a magazine, presented online or on a billboard, or acted out on a movie or on TV, it isn't necessarily healthy or a good idea. As a smart, media-literate consumer, you can see beyond these images and you can see what they're really trying to say to you, and you know the truth about the harmful effects of alcohol. So, too long, didn't read. Alcohol abuse can permanently damage a young person's brain. Your understanding of the effects of alcohol and the negative consequences of its abuse will help you make healthy decisions about alcohol use. And understanding how advertising works will help you filter messages that are inconsistent with your goals. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next time, and we're going to be talking about nicotine and tobacco.